startling case. An Inspector General of Police in the CRPF has said that an encounter killing in Assam in March was fake and should be probed further. He's raised several questions about the alleged encounter carried out. It was a joint action by the Army, the Assam Police, the CRPF, as well as the Sahastra Seema Bal in Chirang district of Assam in early hours of March 30th. And two suspected members of the National Democratic Front of Bodo land were killed in this encounter. Well, let's go across to NDTV Srinivasan Jain for more on this. And Vasu, this is a fairly damning report in which this officer calls for further investigation to take place, and he's talked about his entire probe into this matter.
That's right. It's quite unusual for the armed forces to probe their own so comprehensively, especially in these times. This report, as you mentioned, was prepared by the IG of the Northeast Sector, Rajnish Rai. It was an encounter of the late 30th night of the March going into the early morning of the next day, where, according to the official version, 2 Bodo militants were picked up and killed in an encounter. That's at least what the official version was. But according to her probe, a 13-page probe report, a copy of which is with NDTV, he was actually picked up in one village. They were taken to another village and, according to this official, shot and killed in cold blood. He's also alleged that weapons were planted on them. Now, his report subsequently was sent to the Chief Secretary of Assam, to the CRPF DG, to the Army. At the moment, at least officially, there is no response from them. He, however, claims to have fairly strong proof. He says that he has witnesses who have identified the fact that these men were picked up from point A and brought to point B. He says those witnesses are in his safe custody. I think what is also important in these particular times, when there is so much debate ongoing about the Army's methods, is the language that this report has used. The report says that security forces do not have the right to kill the dastiest of criminals and militants in cold blood under the cloak of larger societal good. Therefore, it is crucial to strike a balance between individual human rights and societal interests while combating insurgency. So we'll have to wait and see what sort of action the Army or the CRPF, if any, chooses to take. But I think what also makes it significant is the fact that so many different agencies are involved in this. There's the Army, the CRPF, the Assam Police, and also the SSB, the Sahastra Bal. So it's also this which Rajnish Rai has pointed out in his report, saying since multiple security agencies were involved in this incident, it indicates a deeper institutional malady in the functioning of the country's most prestigious security forces.
Right, Vasu, and if I can read like just the last line of the report, the recommendations, he talks about it reflects how systems and processes have weakened over a period of time and how urgent systemic reforms must be initiated. So a very, very strong report here, and of course we're waiting for some official reaction to this.
Absolutely. I think, so far, the standard response is likely to be that there is a magisterial inquiry which is always ordered after every such encounter, and that would be ongoing. But in the past, as we know, such inquiries have rarely, if at all, indicted the security forces, or even if at all they've found any wrongdoing, there's no follow-up action. But given the fact that this has come from a high-ranking official of the CRPF, whose own teams, whose own Cobra teams, the anti-insurgency teams, were themselves involved in this encounter, given the fact that he's, in great detail chronicled how these 2 men were picked up from point A and taken to point B and killed, it will be interesting to see whether at all this time the system will have to take an investigation like this more seriously.
All right, Vasu, thanks so much for joining us with that. So an extremely damning report by the CRPF's IGP, where he says that an encounter that took place in Assam in March, on the 30th of March, was actually a fake encounter, and has asked for a further probe as well as systemic reforms.